Welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. Coming up on today's episode, Forest put a bid in on a £35 million star. Is Sosa coming or not? We'll give you the latest. Man United shortlist Danilo, and Forest win the Marinakis derby, and it's on to Bournemouth next. All this and plenty more coming up today on your latest Forest news. Let's get into it. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to your latest Forest transfer news. We got a lot to update you guys on. So if you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit that like button. It only takes a second. We ain't done this for a while. Let's set a like target of, I don't know, 504. See if you guys can get that. Free to do, hit it. Make sure you're subscribed, and don't forget there are still some tickets left for this double framed signed Football Forest shirt with Nuno and Taiwo on there. Insta prize win, a number 40 for Murillo, and a new home kit. If you hit ticket 225, boom, straight away, that's yours. Go check it out. The link's in the comments, or scan this QR code. And let's jump into the news. And let's start with this fascinating story about Galeno, who is currently at Porto. Probably one of the paciest left wingers you're going to see. Brazilian, of course. The whole Nottingham Rainforest tradition must remain with the players we linked. And you ask me this in any window, any time, and I say sign him. He is a quality player. He's like a good mixture of what we have in Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's got that cheat code where he likes to cut in, finesse his shots, but he's lightning fast on the ball. He looks a little leggy, and you'd expect him to be a bit weaker than he is, but he's strong on the ball, and he's really good at picking out like a square pass across the ball. His passing range in that final third is what really impresses me about him. And Forest have put in a bid for him. But before you get too excited, it's been rejected. This was tweeted out by Romano yesterday. I'll read you out the relevant part of the tweet. He says, exclusive, Nottingham Forest have had a formal bid rejected from FC Porto for Galeno. Interest, however, remains strong. Galeno is on Juve's radar. And then it goes on to talk about the players that Juve are shortlisting. Now, for me, this is a step up in what Forest are mixing with in the transfer window. Galeno, player I highly rate. Oh, he's 26, by the way, as well, so he's well within his prime. And Forest are upping the ante, which is all good news. And the expectation is that after their bid has been rejected, we're probably going to go back in with an improved bid and what have you. Now, they want 40 million euros for him as a package. That's about 35 million pounds. That would include add-ons. So you're probably looking at 6 million in add-ons and 29 mil in straight up hard cash. But with all this said, I don't know where he fits in. I do know where he fits in. It's on the left-hand side. But that's in place of Callum Hudson-Odoi, who for me is probably one of our most consistent attackers. And his form just got better and better and better last season. And at the start of this preseason, he was red hot for me. And I wouldn't be wanting to drop Callum Hudson-Odoi. It's a conundrum. Do I have to let go, if we get him, of my love for Chow and think of the greater good of the team? No sentiment, as I always say on here. Or do you think, like, I don't know. Sometimes the logic isn't quite making sense to me with Forest recruitment strategy. We're starting to pile up links to wingers, when for me, clearly a striker is the one we need, like desperately, more so than any other position. But if you offer me Galeno, I 100% take him. And this headache, if we were to get him, would be so big for Nuno to figure out. Because how does he put him in the team and drop Callum Hudson-Odoi? Unless you're going to say put Callum Hudson-Odoi on the right-hand side, drop Alanga, who's probably had his best game for us, we'll come on to in a second. And then what about Jota, and what about Sosa? We're going to talk about him in a minute as well. It's getting quite messy, but very exciting at the same time. Welcome to a Forest transfer window. Would you guys take him, is my question to you. Galeno, For those of you who haven't seen him, trust me when I say he is top notch. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I can't wait to read them. Alrighty, let's try and unpick this Sosa fiasco, this EastEnders style drama that's going on at the moment, because it was released yesterday from their club, as in Tales, an official statement about Sosa. I've never seen this done by a club about transfers, but anyway, let me read you some bits from it. It says, we inform you that our player Ramon Sosa is once again available to the technical staff as the transfer agreement has not been reached. Following his outstanding performance, call up to the national team, blah, blah, blah. Sosa expressed his desire to take care of himself and continue his professional growth in another league, and the club decided to support this possibility by starting conversations and arranging a training program separate from the rest of the group, which we've all seen the pictures of. Considering several options, the talks progressed with the institute that the player expressed as his preference, and even giving up some initial conditions. An agreement was not reached. As the talks progressed, a deadline was set to complete the negotiations and not continue to delay the situation, which, if not resolved, would seriously harm us all. Aware of Ramon's hierarchy, his importance to the team, and his respect for the club's interests, Sosa is once again at the disposal of the coaching staff, etc., etc. So, this has come out from the club. Now, they are saying that the deal has not been agreed, which is actually in itself incorrect, because the president himself had previously released this statement where he said the issue of Ramon Sosa is in the process of being defined. If they do not give Telles what's been agreed, he won't leave. The fact is, and this is the key line, last weekend, Nottingham Forest changed the verbally agreed conditions and the transfer that seemed done in the order of $15 million. Today, it's on standby, but has not fallen through. So let me just unpick that all for you and kind of give you the time frames. So what we told you previously, deal done, here we go. That was all confirmed. As stated by the president, $15 million. Sosa was then set to come to Nottingham on that Friday of that week. And then they are claiming that Forest changed the goalposts. When they put the official offer on paper through, they had changed conditions. It is still, to this day, not clear what conditions have changed. So that's the history of it. Now, what's happening is that he still wants to go to Nottingham Forest, but he has respect, obviously, for his current club and has made himself available, because I think they may even be part of the whole Libertadores tournament. And that's the sticking point for Telles, because this is such a big event. They want to make sure that their best players are available. And if he's going, he should have been gone by now. They wanted the deal done the Friday that had gone, where it was expected to be completed. Now, if you believe what they're saying, and honestly, I don't really see a reason for them to bend the truth too much, because Forest have come out and said nothing. In fact, all we're hearing about Forest is they are still confident that this deal is going to go through, but that's not coming directly from Forest, that's coming from reporters, sources, etc. So the honest answer on all of this is it is still up in the air. There are reports that suggest that if this deal is going to be done, it will be finished by next week. But I'm just ready to, I'm kind of getting sick of this whole story. I'm ready to move on from it. He is a cracking player. And at that price, $15 million, which is about 12 million pounds, it's not that much. And now you're hearing Forest going for the Brazilian from Porto for a deal that's going to be twice that fee. Are they using that deal to scare Telles into selling Sosa for whatever changes they have allegedly made on the offer, to say, well, if you don't go for him, we've got one lined up from Porto who's just as proficient and we're happy to get that done? It's just seeming a little hostile at the moment between the two clubs. So that is the update. I can't sit here and tell you guaranteed he's going to come. My gut feeling still says when a player wants to leave and his heart is set on the move, and they're openly talking about it being Nottingham Forest, 9 times out of 10, the player ends up leaving, maybe under hostile conditions, whatever. He seems like a genuinely nice guy and respectful towards his club, so maybe it doesn't get to that stage. But whatever happens, we will keep you posted on it. But get your thoughts in on this crazy, crazy story in the comments down below. All right, let's move on and talk about a potential, in huge quotations, exit from Nottingham Forest. And that's on another Brazilian of ours, and that's Danilo. Now, there have been reports coming out, and I'm not giving these too much credence, but the logic behind it does make sense, to say that Manchester United are shortlisting Danilo because, well, I'll read you the tweet that we put out. Manchester United are interested in Nottingham Forest Brazilian midfielder Danilo. It is said that they appreciate the player's talent and have him on a shortlist alongside Gomez. I think the other player is from Wolves. Now that their interest in Ugarte has ended, that was the midfielder they were after, and that sounds like it's falling through. And they are shortlisting Danilo as that potential talent who's got that Premier League experience already, obviously under Forest, and they may look to push him on. Now, there was some other reports that were suggesting that Danilo is offering himself out to Manchester United. I don't give those ones any credit. I feel like he's quite comfortable and happy in Nottingham Forest. Still, for me, has a lot of development to do within the team and within the Premier League. But I don't see this one happening at all. I think Danilo is at the very least being considered as a starting 11 player for Nuno. We've seen him and Sangare paired up quite a lot in the pre-season matches. And I would be very surprised, unless Manchester United were going to do one of their stupid bids, Anthony or whatever his name is style, and go and pay way over the odds for him, which they can't. Well, maybe they can with the brown envelopes they've been getting with their 40 million COVID allowance. Then I don't see this one happening. But let me ask you guys the question. Would you be willing to sell Danilo to another rival in the Premier League? Or is he a no sale for you under any conditions? And if you are willing to sell him, what would you tag his price value at the moment? That I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. So go do it now. Okay, we have to now talk about the Marinakis derby where Forest came out victorious. And yes, Mr. Marinakis, you know how much I love you. But why were you siding on the Olympiacos side of the fence pre-match? That hurt my feelings a little. I'm not going to lie. But that aside, I thought there was so much good to take out of that game. My boy Sangare, I defended him all year last year while loads of the Forest fan base were turning on him. Took so much stick from it. And yes, you, Brucey, is exactly, in particular, who I'm talking about on that. And now everyone is seeing what Sangare can produce. So hopefully he can take that form into the Premier League. Obviously, pre-season is completely different to it. So for me, Sangare, positive story, not just in that game, but across pre-season. But within that game, we saw some great performances. I'm really liking Anderson. I think he's operated well out on the left. He went into the 10 when Morgan Gibbs-White came off and looked good there as well. I liked... who else did I thought Yates had a really good game, scoring his 2 goals. Let's hope he can take that form into the Premier League. Whether or not he's a starter, for me, one preseason game doesn't change anything. I still think Sangare and my man of the match, Dominguez, who's just all over the place everywhere, a real proper terrier on the pitch, should be the 2. Now, there are some things that we do need to worry about. And yes, you can say Murillo is fantastic, but he hasn't had the greatest preseason. I have no worries about him going forward. I still think the quality of what we saw from him last year will shine through as he gets into, you know, competitive mode. A lot of people are saying, is it because he got married? And marriage is tough. You know, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. So he has probably had a little adaptation period going through, you know, but I don't think that's going to impact him at all. But my highlight from yesterday was Elanga. All last season, I've been saying frustratingly good, low football IQ. And then finally yesterday, for the first time probably since the Newcastle match in my mind, I may be wrong, but we finally saw him take the ball and run at defenders. And when he did, they didn't know which way to turn, and he scored that wonderful goal. Okay, he then went and made a mistake to let their third goal in, I think it was. Yes, that's expected. I don't mind that as an attacker if you make mistakes sometimes because you're trying to help out at the back. As long as you are doing what I know you're capable of. And in his case, is get your head down, dribble with the ball, run into the space, take your shot when it's available, or make the pass. I know I'm making it sound simple, and it's not that simple, but it was good to see that side of Elanga back in. Now, the other thing that's interesting about everything we saw yesterday and throughout the preseason is you're starting to understand how Nuno's thinking. I think I now understand why we need another goalkeeper. I thought Sells had a good game and a bad game yesterday. He made some great saves, and he also should have saved one or two, in my opinion. I think at the moment, we probably have two number 2 goalkeepers in Sells and Carlos Miguel. And this is why we're still seeing the links to the likes of Ramsdale and to the likes of Sam Johnson, and still loosely to Kelleher from Liverpool. So I do now understand that. Where I'm struggling still is the over amount of links we've got to wingers. I mean, we've talked about a couple today already in Sosa and in Galeno from Porto. And I just think I'm just going to turn and trust Nuno, because he saw in the keeper what I couldn't see a couple of weeks ago. If he thinks we need a couple of wingers, so be it. He still wants a left back. But the one I can't let go of is the striker position. I thought Wood, although he got 2 assists and a goal, for me was disconnected from the game for large periods of times. And I thought Tyler, when he came on, looked a little busy, clearly not match fit or match sharp. But we can probably expect that based on his track record to see that time and time again this season. I hope not. And that's why I still think we need a striker. So I personally would rather see that 30 or 40 million pound wrapped up into a nice bundle and put in a striker. And that for me is where the money needs to be spent. But I am now starting to get nervous, excitedly nervous about Bournemouth, because that's it. Pre-season is over. The real football business starts now. And can we beat that godforsaken bogey team of ours at the City Ground next Saturday? What do you guys think? And that, guys, brings you up to date with your latest Forest news. If you've enjoyed the content, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and we'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.